Good morning, everyone. So today we will continue similarly to yesterday to doing like a frequently asked questions about the vegan lifestyle. Like some well, maybe not vegan myths, but like anti-vegan myths. But yeah, so but we will try to debunk them in compassionate way. So there are like common fears, like half truths and misunderstandings that is quite common out there, and let's try to answer those questions. So we already saw yesterday, like what about the main question that one can ask, one is asked as a vegan many times. Like where do you get your protein? What about calcium? And yeah, so those are like some of the main questions that one get asked as a vegan quite often. But there are also others. There are many others actually, and it is quite interesting to tackle them. And yeah, so let's do that in this presentation. So one that comes quite often is like, but humans are natural meat eaters. Well, not exactly. Anatomically, we have nothing to do with carnivores or even omnivores. Our everything about us is points to herbivore, like a frugivore or like a herbivore fruitarian kind of system that we have. So we don't have sharp claws for hunting. We don't have pointed cannons for tearing flesh. We don't have a highly acidic stomach to digest raw meat quickly. And we don't have a short digestive tract to optimize for rapid meat processing and elimination. On the contrary, our physiology aligns far more closely with herbivores and frugivores, with a very long intestine, much longer than carnivores, and designed to extract all the nutrients from plant fiber, not from meat. There's nothing in meat. With flat molars, which is perfect for grinding, and with ends which are evolved to gather rather than tear. So our bodies is basically made out for plants. It is basically with a vegan body. The only reason we eat meat and fish and yeah, all kinds of meat, fish, possibly even eggs, is that we cook them. If we didn't cook them, then we would not be able really to eat them, to really digest them at all. So, and when we see carnivores in the wild or even omnivores who eat meat in the wild, they crave the meat. They love the meat, and they can eat raw meat without any issue, or raw fish. when they see blood on an animal that they can eat, they will salivate. They will want to tear that animal apart and just enjoy their flesh and satisfy their hunger. We are not at all like that. If we see a dead animal, maybe on the street, maybe we will more be sad. We'll feel compassion. We'll feel empathy to the animal rather than having the desire to eat him or her. It's just not in our nature to to crave those kinds of food. And yes, so we are not really meat eaters or fish eaters. We never were. We are not, and we never will be. So yeah, we can study often we, like when we have discussions, people show the canine that we have and say, oh, you see, this is for meat. Well, no, this is the canine. If we see the canine of lion compared to us, it's completely different of any carnivore or even omnivores. They are much longer, much sharper, and they can tear through the flesh, even the bone. And we cannot do that. This is meant for just plants. Yes, we have small incisives like in our teeth system, but this is just a very small one, just to, like we have like knives, knives in the kitchen that are not necessarily very sharp, but they are very helpful. So similarly, this canine, they are very useful for plants. Plants also needs a little bit of tear and grinding. So this is why we have those, and they are certainly not meant for meat. So another kind of affirmation is that we will lose muscle and strength. So we often see sports people, maybe they believe that one needs a lot of proteins, then they will eat a lot of meat, especially bodybuilders. But there are fully plant-based, vegan, even bodybuilders, which is quite amazing. So you can look it up. They won many competitions, and they are very, very strong, very, very powerful, very well-defined muscles everywhere, and very big. So and this is just marketing. This is not science. So whatever the muscle is made up of, can be gotten from plants. And of course, there is progressive training that is required, like for every sport, and proper recovery. So strength comes from use of the muscles, not necessarily from eating specific foods. So the muscle doesn't know the difference between an amino acid that comes from chickpeas or chicken. They just need enough of them. So the plants provide complete protein profiles when eaten in variety and without the cholesterol and all the saturated fat and all the inflammatory compounds that is found in animal products. So yeah, there are many vegan athletes. Many of them are win a lot of competitions. There are many who are also in the ultra marathoners field, which is which plant-based is quite amazing for also. And a lot of them are thrive on plants. You can watch the movie The Game Changer. It's on, I mean, it was on Netflix, but yeah, it can be had in different ways. Just check out The Game Changers. Maybe it depends on the country if one has it on Netflix or not. But look up The Game Changers documentary. It's a wonderful one. Produced by some big people in the industry. I believe also Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jackie Chan, and others. So yeah, and also the benefit of a plant-based diet is that one recover very fast, much faster than on an animal-based food diet, and there's a lot of reduced inflammation, which is great to avoid any kind of issues, sicknesses, and diseases. So we see there are many wonderful protein sources like lentils, like tofu, tempeh, quinoa, chickpea, and seitan. One can find them very easily in stores, but it's not only those ones, but many others. But those contain good sources. So yeah. So another myth is that the vegan diets are only for young, healthy people. But actually, it was shown by the major nutrition dietetics academies in the world that it is actually beneficial to all stages in life. So including childhood and adolescence, like children and teens, and pregnancy and nursing also, athletes and active people, and older adults. Everybody can benefit from a plant-based diet with a proper attention to key nutrients, of course, like vitamin B12, like vitamin D, omega-3s, and iron. But those can be had on the plant-based diet, and like vitamin B12, of course, it's a good idea to take a supplement, either once a day or a week. Supplement can be very tasty, kind of liquid that tastes like candy, or one can get them from fortified food. So many plant-based food are fortified. If certain vitamin B12, one can just look up for them. And vitamin D, in any case, that's like for everybody, that comes from the sun. Omega-3s can be had from algae, from the ocean. And in any case, the fishes, where do they get the omega-3s is from the algae themselves. So we are like eating the middle fish. So we can skip the middle fish. So vegan diets, they adapt beautifully to everyday life stage and activity level. There's not a single stage in life where one cannot be plant-based. So maybe another common myth is that we must be hungry all the time, that vegans are hungry all the time. Well, that's not the case at all. So yeah, plant foods are naturally rich in fiber and water content, which means they'll fill us up quite substantially with a lot of volume while providing fewer calories, which means we can even eat more, be satiated also from this food if we eat little oil. And then yeah, we can eat quite a lot of food without ever having any issue. And yeah, so one can feel even more satiated than on an animal-based diet. And we can enjoy more colorful, more lively, more more rich, nutrient-rich food on a plant-based diet. Without feeling heavy and sluggish feelings that often follow when we eat a meat-heavy meal. So when we eat fiber, then the digestion slows down, and then it stabilizes blood sugar and keep us feeling full between meals also. And when we eat like a meat-based diet, then we can like feel like we want to sleep all the time. So that's one myth that exists. So another one that we can hear from time to time is like soy is dangerous. It messes with hormones. So this is misinterpreted studies. The current evidence show that it is very beneficial, actually. So even expert, really scientific studies show that there's absolutely no issue with soy. Of course, nowadays soy, unfortunately, is like very genetically manipulated because of the animal agriculture. So maybe best to eat organic bio soy. That's another issue. And yes, so this myth is quite outdated and misinterpreted. Animal studies don't just don't translate to humans. And so the science is clear. Soy does not cause any hormonal issues. I mean, most of Asian countries, they eat a lot of tofus. They actually are very like healthier than us, than like the so-called Western diet. Those that follow the Western diet. So like in Japan and in some countries, they have lower rates of hormone-related like cancers. So maybe that should be like ring a bell to us that something is wrong with the interpretation of that idea that persists. So there were early so-called studies. I hate those studies actually, but okay, here is one more reason is that they do not translate to humans, so they were animal-based studies that just don't translate to humans who have different physiognomy. So, and the truth is that it's actually in dairy products that there is a lot of hormones like estrogen, mammalian estrogen, and these rarely get questioned for some reason. And that is like a cultural bias rather than evidence. So so no worry about soy causing any issue. And then there's another question is like that we can't eat vegan socially. But the truth is that in most restaurants nowadays, they offer vegan options, or they can easily modify dishes. Just request them to let like the meat out, or the butter dairy. So all kinds of cuisines can be made plant-based. In every culture, there's many plant-based meals, ingredients. So basically, meat is just, when we think about it, what is it just like in a meal? It could be just one thing, one ingredient of one's plate. Unfortunately, it's an ingredient that takes a lot of space, but we can just replace it very easily with any of the so-called replacement like tofu, seitan, tempeh, or any of the nuts burgers. And there are many, many ways that one can veganize food. And yeah, I went to a few vegan restaurants. Sometimes I went to at least one quite often, almost every week for some time. And I love it. I love the food there. It's quite amazing. Tastes amazing. One knows that there's no blood on our plates. And it's just very calm and peaceful. So yeah, then there's also social gatherings where one maybe goes with well, it can be like barbecues or with friends that one goes to one another places, for example, or could be also in at work. But nowadays it's very easy to eat a plant-based diet even in those circumstances. Maybe initially it can be a bit awkward, but it very rapidly melts down, and people just understand, and actually they may feel a little bit like curious about why we eat a plant-based diet, and that's very good. It's very natural and very positive. And yeah, sometimes there may be the occasional like person who always tries to be negative, but that is quite rare, honestly. I don't think I even in my many years of being vegan, I don't remember anyone who was really very negative about it. Yeah, of course, there are some who always come up with the same like excuses, but it is more about them than about us. And of course, those so-called excuses, I am quite sure they themselves know that they are not true. Like one common one that comes often is, what about plants? Don't you care about them? I mean, okay. There are many ways to answer to that, even in a logical fashion. But it's quite true that no one really believes that cutting a cow's head is the same as cutting a fruit out of a tree. I mean, if one truly believes it, okay, but yeah, no. If the fruit falls from the tree, then that tree will give out other fruits maybe next season or in some time. It will grow again. If we cut a cow's head, there will not be 5 more coming out of that neck. So no, it's not the same. But anyway, yeah, social gatherings, so we can eat socially very easily, and even find families. Often when one goes vegan, then one will not only inspire the family, and they will, even though they may not go fully vegan immediately, some do. Those are the blessed families. But often they, at least they will accommodate us. They will try their best to cook vegan for us. And of course, when we eat vegan, then it's much easier for maybe our parents to prepare vegan for everybody, not to make a distinction then, because they have to then prepare 2 meals, which can be a bit annoying. So it's kind of maybe just one vegan in the family, then they drive the family dynamics in a good way. And yeah, it helps their family members to explore more diverse offerings of food than the usual meat, fish, and chips. So social habits, they adjust so quite quickly. So what may feel challenging just for a week in the first week, then they quite rapidly become second nature by the second month, possibly, or second week even. And yeah, and very often this sparks some genuine curiosity and open conversation rather than judgment. No one will really judge someone who goes vegan or plant-based. There will be curiosity and maybe some friction initially if it's with family members especially, but it very rapidly dissolves. And yeah, and in all cases, we need to be strong with our own conviction. If we know that that is the right way, then we need to do that. Unless really there is some really big issues with some family members who really don't accept it, and we have no choice but to live with them. And yeah, but even then, some have, but still they went vegan, and maybe after a long time, then the family members then become one of their main cheerleader. So sometimes for some people it takes a long time, but for most it doesn't take that long to accept it, especially if it comes from a place of kindness and compassion, and where discussions are very healthy, very calm and peaceful. So some may say that veganism or the vegan lifestyle is just a trend or a phase, but actually, if you look historically, it basically always existed. Like compassion for animals and plant-based living have existed for thousands of years, not decades. There are many civilizations and religious traditions and spiritual traditions, and philosophical movements that have long embraced non-violence towards animals. Early Hindu Buddhist teachings dating many millennia back. Then the Greek philosophers like Pythagoras, who was a great advocate for the plant-based diet. The Jain tradition is very, very strongly rooted in non-violence, and they may not be fully vegan, but they are strongly plant-based, except for the dairy, unfortunately. But that changes. That start to change even in their community. Thank God. Need to open our eyes to dairy someday. And there is also religious fasting where one doesn't eat, one eats vegan for certain periods of time, maybe 40 days, maybe more. And many plant-based practices across cultures. The only thing that didn't exist is the word vegan, which was coined by Donald Watson in the 20th century. And that was one of the greatest so-called invention of all time, I would say. The idea that veganism versus vegetarianism, so that actually the vegan diet is not really a diet, it's a lifestyle that try to minimize suffering to all beings. And that's a beautiful, beautiful idea and concept. Because vegetarianism is more about food, about diet, about what we eat. Yes, it is connected to the welfare of animals, but even the name vegetarians, so those that eat like vegetables, that in veganism is something quite different. It's really something holistic that involves all kinds of animal rights in all walks of life. So it's very different than vegetarianism. It's more about compassion than about anything else. Of course, diet is a very important part of it, but it is at its core, it's all about ethics rather than diet. So today we have much more awareness of it through the internet, through the web, especially through being so interconnected. Everybody, the transportation, so people know much more about it, much more aware of it. We know that there are better alternatives. We are growing conscious about it, about our impact on the planet. So compassion cannot be a trend that goes out of style. It's not a trend. It's a moral evolution of mankind. So we try to expand our awareness that of the impact of the animal agriculture on the health implication, the ethical cost. It's not it cannot be a passing fad. If anything is a trend, it's rather factory farming, which is a practice that emerged only in the last century. And luckily, it is showing some sign of hopefully becoming obsolete as people wake up to its consequences. Therefore, I'm not sure nowadays it's so obsolete because it's still very much used and abused, but there's kind of a trend towards a more compassionate world. And when people wake up to understand this, then they will not want to have anything to do with it anymore, hopefully. So it's about expanding our mind, our hearts. And so even though it existed for thousands of years, in some form, the vegan concept, I believe, is much more advanced, much better than the vegetarian one. It's much more clear. Clarity is very important. It's the same with Donald Watson, the one who coined the word vegan. He was very annoyed with vegetarianism that first it's not at all well defined. Some eat fish, some eat eggs, some eat even meat from time to time. And many, if not most, eat or drink dairy, butter, ghee, cheese, and whatnot. And he wanted something that is very clear, very very precise, and that's why the term and the lifestyle came about. So in the past, people may have avoided meat, especially, but for example, dairy was used for a long time. Even though dairy is also linked to very big abuse and violence towards especially cows, but many other mammals. But this was not recognized in the past. That also that the dairy, we are not supposed to take dairy from non-consenting animals. But of course, it was a very different time also. So the dairy industry was quite different. There was no artificial insemination. I don't know if probably not in all places, but in some places the calves or the babies were not taken away from their mothers, and the mothers could nurse their babies, and we only took milk after the baby has drank its share and what it required. That is a very different type of dairy practice, even though I do not agree with that, but it was very different still. So the abuse was not yet at the level that we have now. Now there is a criminal organization. But so that's why I'm not really believe that we should even drink even from those kind of dairy, which really maybe I don't believe they even exist nowadays. No matter what people think, it's because there can be a decrease of abuse or decrease of exploitation, but still an exploitation is an exploitation. So I'm not even for small exploitation, because then it snowballs into a big exploitation, like quite often, if not always. It's like starting small and then getting something, becoming big. It's kind of like maybe we take a little bit of drug, we think it's innocent, so-called innocent, but then we end up being a drug addict. Or we start with one cigarette, and before we know it, we eat 3 packs a day. And then it's very hard to stop. Even alcohol also. So, yeah, but even a little abuse, for me, it's an abuse. And like we are stealing like the what does not belong to us and what belongs to the babies. And since the babies are taken away, that is absolutely atrocious. So yeah, so dairy is a big issue, but still there is so it shows that veganism is not a trend or a phase. It will always be there. It will always exist at all times, I believe, especially when the world will go mostly, if not entirely, vegan. It will take some time. It will not come immediately. But the trend is quite clear. People start to wake up to compassion, to understanding the issue behind them by documentaries, so many documentaries that we have that showcase what's really happening in those so-called industries. And yeah, some documentaries are quite hard to watch, like Earthlings, but they can be very useful. Once one watches a documentary like Earthlings, then one can go vegan from one day to the next. And that's a wonderful thing. I would love to see a vegan religion. I mean, rather like religions, current religions that would go vegan, not like a new religion. We have enough religions. But for some of the one that is closest is the Jain tradition. I would love to see all the monks and nuns of that tradition request all followers to be vegan. That would be wonderful. Maybe I would convert to Jain if that was the case. But but still, many of those philosophies, they try to be non-violent as much as possible. They are based on ahimsa, non-violence, and that's a great thing. So, yeah, that's it for that. Yeah, another so-called excuse is saying that, like, if I go vegan, it doesn't change anything. One person going vegan will not change anything. Well, it does, for so many reasons. Well, there's something like maybe 200 animals saved per person per year. By choosing plant-based food, 200 animals, can you imagine? That's a gigantic amount. Maybe if one is vegan for 30 years, that's 6,000 animals. And then we reduce the greenhouse gas emission of each person who goes plant-based. And we save so many gallons, so many liters of fresh water, by not eliminating again animal products from our diet. That's a gigantic amount of gallons. Can you imagine? So many, because we should not forget that the animal that we consume, they need to drink water themselves. And you can imagine how much water they drink, every day, quite a lot, more than us. So this water could go to people who really need it, to humans who need it, instead of animals raised for food. And as always, like, the supply follows the demand, like always. So when we go plant-based, then we send a kind of signal to restaurants and to all the grocery stores and food producers that we wish to not partake in this abuse anymore. So when the demand shifts, then the industries will respond. It's a lot of about business, a lot about money. So we already see that even major fast foods that maybe swore never to give anything other than meat, then now they have kind of no choice but to provide plant-based options, because many people prefer that. And also dairy alternatives, quite often in places, I believe, like Starbucks, that is very strong. And then we have investors who pour like billions into the plant-based and like cultivated meat technologies as well. That's another topic, interesting topic. So whatever we do, it creates ripples all over the world, and even in our social circle as well, and family. Like when one person goes vegan, then he or she influences a lot of people around her or him. Everybody starts to wonder why that person goes vegan. And then there's a discussion, hopefully healthy one. And then other people are convinced, or at least like vegan curious, and then they may try it out or eat less meat. That's already a big win to the animals. So it's more about what we really want. It's not that It's not if one person matters, it's whether we want to be part of reducing harm and or perpetuating it. So everything is measurable. Whatever compassionate things we do will be measured one way or another. And also for ourselves, we will feel lighter, more happier, knowing that we do not contribute to pain and suffering of other beings, innocent beings. That is very important. That opens our hearts, expands our consciousness, which is one of also the goals of spirituality. To notice, to experience that we are all basically one. So again, do good, be good, and be one, or be good, do good, be one. 6 words that can summarize all of spirituality. So yes, the vegan lifestyle is not about perfection or being pure or superior. Of course not. I think no vegan really feels superior to anyone else. Maybe they eat in a better way. They are more compassionate, kind. Yes, but it's not a sense of superiority to others, like ego. It's not about ego. It's about doing the least harm and to the most kind to all beings. So every meal that we eat is an opportunity to align our actions with our values. And yes, we do have real impacts. Everything that we do has a very tangible change for the animals, for the planet, and our health. And a very important part is we increase the size of our heart. So it's not, compassion isn't a sacrifice. It's like an expansion of what we care about. So we don't have to be perfect, but we have to care enough to try. And yeah, that's more than enough to make a difference. Who doesn't want to be really kind and compassionate to all beings? It's wonderful, no? Wouldn't we want to have in our forests wonderful foxes running around without being harmed, and rabbits and deers and goats and cows? What a wonderful world that would be, where animals are not scared of us, where animals can roam freely and happily and peacefully and not run away when they see us. Nowadays, when an animal sees us, he just runs away, almost to a heart attack. Because, yeah, animals are scared of us, and for good reason. They should be. Nowadays at least. If we were all vegans and helping them and supporting them, they would not be scared of us at all. They could come to us, we could pet them, and yeah, they would be very very playful with us. And also the pigs, they are very playful and very smart, as smart as dogs or smarter. So yeah, so let's expand our heart to infinity. It's one of the most important change that we can make in our life. To go vegan is it's quite an amazing thing that we do. It's a gift to the animals, to the planet, and to ourselves. We feel much more lighter, much more aligned, much, yeah. Our kindness and compassion naturally expands, and not only to the animal people, but also to the human people. So it's an expansion of consciousness, of empathy, of understanding pain of others as ours, and that's what the vegan lifestyle more than anything else does, even much more than vegetarianism. So, because when one is vegetarian, one believes it's more for diet than really anything else. Not always, of course, but it's mainly because we try to eat like no animal or something like that. But it's not really a philosophy of no harm, like ahimsa. So veganism could be seen as the ahimsa in action, basically. And there's nothing greater than that, is there, in this world? If the world was vegan, this world would be heaven. There would be no wars, really, no wars, no misunderstandings, or maybe very small ones. No one could hurt any other being if the world was vegan, if everybody was vegan. That's what I believe, at least. And yeah, we will see how the world goes. The more vegans there are, the more plant-based there are, then the better. Of course, since eating a plant-based diet is one of the most visible aspects of the vegan lifestyle, then that is extremely important. So I think if one could define maybe, I think some people say like pure vegetarianism would be a vegan diet. Like pure vegetarianism is just basically vegetables and anything related to that, like fruits and nuts and seeds. So that would be a vegan lifestyle, vegan diet at least. So yeah, so it doesn't matter how one calls it. Plant-based became the norm to say one eats a plant-based diet. It's like a plant-based diet is the diet of the vegan persons, vegan community. But of course, some eat a plant-based diet, but still include some food that would not be eaten, consumed by vegans, like honey, and maybe eggs also. Some would consume, like, still eat plant-based, but more in the sense of I eat mostly plants, but I also eat like eggs or honey, believing that it is very like maybe important. But we don't need eggs, we don't need honey. They also come from a terrible place of abuse. So that's why the vegan concept philosophy is the best there is, because there's no way of kind of corrupting it. It is what it is. That is the definition itself, to reduce harm and pain to all beings. And it cannot be messed with. One cannot include dairy or even eggs or honey in there. And that's wonderful. It's very precise, very accurate. No more going here and there. So yeah, so that was the presentation for today. Some additional questions and answers. Not sure I gave the best of answers, but it's more a general idea. And yeah, there are many more questions like that. There are wonderful books about like frequently asked questions. One of them is by Ed Winters, which is really great soul also. And but there are many others. If you look at Amazon and you look for like vegan books, then one will find quite a lot of those kind of books that try to debunk all the myths around the vegan lifestyle. And And yeah, that's a great thing, and that's very actually entertaining to read um, how each excuse is just an excuse. Sometimes they can be sincere, people really believe in them, and then it's good to debunk them peacefully, of course, without getting angry or anything. Just with logic and yeah, maybe some sense of humor would be always be a good thing. So thank you, and let's go to our wonderful morning practice. So good morning, everyone. So let's start our uh, practice like we do every day now for 32 or 43 days. Um, and yeah, if you wish, you can also do it like afterwards, of course. This is just to maybe create a habit, and then it's up to us to continue that habit if we really enjoy it, if it brings us something positive. Um, yeah, these spiritual practices are very easy to do, um, maybe except getting up early in the morning, but one doesn't need really to wake up so early. One can start at 5 or 6 or even 7 or more. Um, maybe just I would suggest before that one wakes up, maybe 20 to 30 minutes before one usually wakes up, and then one can have this time dedicated to one's spiritual practices or meditation. It's very important to be regular, to make it like an everyday thing. Whatever we do regularly, it becomes literally us. It becomes our kind of our trademark or personality. Um, for example, those who wake up always very, very late, maybe they can be seen as lazy. Um, I mean, that is just, it doesn't mean it's the case, but it's like a general idea, or that if one wakes up a bit like early, then one is more aligned with the stars. Yogis often wake up quite early in many like practice at times like 3:30 or 3:40, like the times of Brahma Muhurta concept in yoga. And yeah, why do we do that? It's because it feels it's very calm and peaceful in those times. We can practice more. Um, we're not bothered by our family members or pets. We can be more free to practice whatever we wish to practice in those times, and that's wonderful. Um, and also, it is said that there is a lot of good energy in this time, very powerful energy in this world, in the place where we are in, the energy of the morning, the energy of the night, which is everybody's asleep, and so it's extremely calming. That's why we try to practice early in the morning. But again, if that's not your thing, that's okay. But I would suggest just to wake up 20 to 30 minutes before you wake up normally and do the practice then. Whatever that is, meditation, physical exercise, all of them together. What we do together can be done in 30 minutes in total. Just need to give a little bit less time to some aspect, that's okay. But yeah, and you don't have me who talk all the time, so that also compresses the time quite a lot. So that's why yeah, it's a very good thing to meditate and practice in the morning. You can try it out for a week or two and see how you feel. Of course, if you follow this 40 days, then maybe you do it already. But yeah, this is just temporary in any case. And just to give it like a kickstart to the practice. So, okay, so let's start. So we start always with a prayer. This prayer can be anything that you wish. But we will have like a kind of pre-made prayer that I hope is positive and brings good energy and good wishes to the world and to ourselves. Just for today, I will not worry. Just for today, I will not be angry. Just for today, I will do my work honestly. Just for today, I will show gratitude for my many blessings. Just for today, I will be kind to all living beings. May today be a joyful, peaceful, blissful, and magical day. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. May all the beings in all the worlds be happy and free. And may our thoughts, words, and deeds contribute in some way to that happiness and freedom for all. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om peace to all of nature, peace to all living beings, to all the animal people, to all the human people. And finally, peace to our own self, to our own mind. So now let's move to the gratitude part, where we are just being grateful to everything and anything. You decide what you wish to be grateful for. So let's make it just a couple of minutes of gratefulness. It's a wonderful practice to do every single morning. So let's do that. and slowly open your eyes. So that was the practice of gratitude. I would advise everyone to practice this a couple of minutes every morning. Can really do wonder to our own well-being, to our to increase our virtues, our humility, humbleness, not in an egoistical way, but in a true way, to understand that we are not alone in this world, that we depend one on another, that we also depend on the animal people, be them from the sea, from the land, or from the ocean. So being, this gratitude things, it helps with that. It should help with that. So it is said that gratitude is the mother of all virtues, and in that, from that single virtue, all the others come up. I would say that maybe kindness is also a mother of all virtues. Maybe father. I would say that from kindness, everything sprouts forth. Absolutely all the virtues depends on kindness, I would say. So, but they are quite kind of different, kindness and gratitude. They are at the same time complementary, but different. But when one is kind and one is kind to all beings, then one cannot do anything wrong, basically. One cannot steal, one cannot lie, one cannot kill any being or hurt any being, because one is kind. So kindness and gratitude may be two of the most important virtues that we can develop ourselves in our own hearts. And when we are kind, we are also compassionate. So compassion kind of stems out of kindness. Like empathy also. If we are kind, we don't want anyone to suffer. So we feel very empathic toward everyone. We're very compassionate. Empathy and compassion are kind of similar. So for me, kindness and gratitude are two of the most important virtues to develop, and from them everything stems. We don't even need any commandments like 10 commandments or the 5 rules of Buddhist, or 8 or 10 or 227. If we are kind and grateful all the time, then all the other virtues, so-called virtues, will naturally flow from them. So that's what I believe. So let's move to the next part of the practice, which is physical exercise. So let's do just a couple of minutes. It's always good to move a little bit, to just unloosen the joints, so that our meditation can be more fruitful. So first we start, as always, with the Sufi rolls. So we come back with the chest forward and back when we exhale. So inhale forward, exhale back. Then the other way around. Come back to center. Then the big bear. So inhale, exhale round. Come back to center. Inhale, Exhale, turn to one side. Inhale, extend more the spine. Exhale, turn a bit more. Inhale, center. Exhale, the other side. Inhale, extend the spine. Exhale, turn a bit more. Come back to center. Then one hand on the mat, one hand comes up. One bend to one side, the other side. Come back to center. Then hands on the shoulder. Then just make it rolls, like inhale up, exhale back. The other way. And come back to center. And now we make some magic with the hands. You can imagine you're like a magician. Then open and close the hands rapidly. And release. And now we do the same with the legs. Just stretch them, the feet. Make some circles with the ankles. Grab one knee and turn to that side gently. Other side. And come back to center. So this is the practice for today. Like every day. It's very easy, very short, and very precise. But one can also make, of course, other things like neck rolls or just tilting the heads. If that feels good, just be careful with the neck. Not all people can necessarily do those, or neck rolls. Those are not for everyone. If you can, then it's fine. So that's why I do not include them, because they are not for everybody. But often we do some kind of neck rolls or neck leg sides, like all the three sides. I mean, very mindfully, of course. And there are many other exercises that one can do. But what we really want is just to be stable and comfortable in our position for our practice. This is not really an asana practice. It's more a meditative based practice. So so let's continue with the relaxation. So like every day that we do now, for sometimes we do the 61 points of relaxation, which are focusing on 61 points, specific points that are energetic points. This is called Shavyatra. The journey's the corpse journey, as compared to Shavasana, which is just the corpse. So one is a corpse position, one is a corpse journey. So let's do that. We do it twice. Once together and once on your own. So let's do that. So So we'll start with a very short body scan and then move to the actual practice. Just close your eyes and relax. Take a couple of deep breaths. Now relax your shoulders, your neck. Relax the back of the head, top of the head, your forehead, eyebrows and temples. Relax your eyes and your ears, your nose and nostrils. Relax your mouth and your tongue, chin and jaw. Relax your throat, shoulder blades. Relax your arms and hands. Feel straight. Feel that you're sitting straight with as though something is like pulling you above your head. Then relax your back, upper back, middle back, lower back. Relax your torso, navel, abdomen. Relax your hips, your legs and feet. Relax your entire body. And let's start the practice. So bring your entire attention to the space between the eyebrows, to the pit of the throat, the right shoulder, right elbow, right wrist, tip of the right thumb, tip of the index finger, middle finger, ring finger, and little finger. Back to the right wrist, right elbow, right shoulder, pit of the throat, left shoulder, left elbow, left wrist, tip of the left thumb, tip of the index finger, middle finger, ring finger, and little finger. Back to the left wrist, left elbow, left shoulder, pit of the throat, the middle of the chest, the right chest, middle of the chest, left chest, middle of the chest, the navel, lower abdomen, the right hip joint, right knee, right ankle, tip of the right big toe, tip of the second toe, third toe, fourth toe, and fifth toe. Back to the right ankle, right knee, right hip joint, lower abdomen, left hip joint, left knee, Tip of the left big toe, tip of the second toe, third toe, fourth toe, and fifth toe. Back to the left ankle, left knee, left hip joint, lower abdomen, navel, the center of the chest, bit of the throat, and space between the eyebrows. And just relax. And now let's do it, each one of us on our own. Same thing. Just the 61 points. And slowly open your eyes. So this was the relaxation part. But before we go to the rest of the practice, let's take 5 minutes break. So let's start our pranayama practice. Like in the previous days, we're going to do 3 practices. One is breath control. I mean, like using controlling the breath in a specific way. Another one is the Shodhana, and the final one is Brahmari. So let's start with the breath control or controlled breath, where we breathe in like 1-1, meaning breathe in for 8 seconds and out for 8 seconds. We will do 4 seconds in, 4 seconds out. If that is too much, you can do 3-3 or 2-2. And the most important thing is the quality of the breath. We need it to be diaphragmatic. So like down in the belly, like the belly should be completely free, relaxed, chest relaxed. Then we need to avoid pauses to make it as smooth as possible. Make it noiseless, unless we have a blocked nose, of course. And as calm as possible, really peaceful. So it's kind of both breath control and breath awareness. Maybe it could be called controlled awareness breathing. But yeah. So, and very important is from the mouth. We have this habit of breathing from the mouth, I mean naturally, so-called naturally. I'm not talking about when we speak. When we speak, of course, it's kind of natural to breathe in from the mouth from time to time. But when in everyday life, it's best to breathe in from the nose and out from the nose. The nose is made for breathing, and the mouth for speaking and eating, and emergency breathing. We don't usually need emergency breathing in most cases, so we don't really need to breathe from the mouth, either in or out. No reason to in or out, really. The nose is very important. It is made up for breathing. It filters all the bacteria and dust, and it warms the air. It's very important for our health. There are some practices that involves breathing in from the mouth. Like when I try them, I get like kind of sick. I cannot do it. I feel really bad because it's just not natural. We can breathe in a lot of dust and we breathe in like cold air directly into our lungs. So it doesn't create as much nitric oxide that is created by the nostril in the nostril canal and goes up to the lungs, and it's very important to expand the vessels. So there are many functions of the nose. It's not just breathing apparatus, but it's also a filtering apparatus, and also creator of some good compounds. So let's do that now. So we breathe in for 4 seconds, out for 4 seconds, and etc. Then we need to breathe in from the nose, diaphragmatic breathing, make it as smooth as possible, avoid pauses, no retention, and that's it. So let's do that for a couple of minutes. And slowly open your eyes. And now let's move to 1-2. Meaning we breathe in for X seconds and out for 2X seconds. So we are going to try out 4-8. If that's too much for you, you can do 3-6 or 2-4. Meaning we breathe in for 4 seconds and out for 8 seconds. Using the same quality of breath as before. So let's do that. And relax. Don't control the breath anymore. Just let it be. Now let's move on to Nadi Shodhanam. Like we did, I believe, in the last 2 sessions, we did all 3 types of Nadi Shodhanam, one after the other. We did once together and 1 round together, and then 3 rounds on our own. Let's do that again, so that we really understand the 3 types differently, separately, and together. So we go to Vishnu Mudra, so we bend our index and middle finger. We use the thumb and the ring to close the nostrils. So the first type is First, we block the right nostril, for example. We can do it with the other one, but we start from the right, let's say. Then we exhale from left, inhale from right, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, and exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale. Again, we always start with the exhalation, we end with the inhalation. There are 6 exhalation and 6 inhalation in total. And yes, here we try to make it exhalation and inhalation more or less the same time. Not too long, maybe 4 seconds. And yeah, and each round starts with the opposite nostril, and between the rounds you can take a couple of seconds rest. So let's do it one round together. The first type, so Vishnu Mudra, then inhale, exhale, inhale to start. Block right, exhale from left. Switch inhale, switch exhale, switch inhale, switch exhale, switch inhale, exhale from same, switch exhale, inhale, switch exhale, switch inhale, switch exhale, switch inhale, and relax. So let's do that 3 rounds on our own. Remember, each round starts with the opposite nostril, and take 5 to 10 seconds rest between each round. If you feel dizzy, just stop for a couple of moments. Yeah, so let's do that. Okay, so now let's pass to second type. So second type, imagine we block the right, then exhale left, inhale left, switch, exhale left, inhale left, switch, exhale inhale, switch, exhale inhale, switch, exhale inhale, switch, exhale inhale. So basically we are passing more time on one nostril. So same thing, let's do it once together and then three rounds on our own. So inhale, exhale, inhale to start. Block right, exhale from left. Inhale left, switch, exhale, inhale, 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 and relax. So again, let's do 3 rounds of the second type on our own. Remember switching nostril when for each round, and taking 5-10 seconds of rest between rounds. And again, if you feel dizzy, then stop for a while or even stop completely. So let's start now. and slowly open your eyes. So that was the second type. Let's now move to the third type. Third type is if we block the right, then we exhale left, inhale, exhale left, inhale left, exhale left, inhale left, exhale left, inhale left. Switch, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale. So that is the third type. Again, let's do one round together and then 3 rounds on our own. So inhale, exhale, inhale to start. Block right, exhale from left. Inhale left, exhale left, inhale left, exhale left, inhale left, switch, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, and inhale, and relax. Now let's do 3 rounds on our own. Switching nostrils for each round and taking 5-10 seconds rest. So let's do that. And slowly open your eyes. So now we move to primary, the bee humming practice, where we just close our mouth and make the sound continuously, like inhale and we did that for some time. So you choose the note that you want to play. You can change it over time, make it higher, lower, and yeah, and that's it basically. It's a very, not much to say. It's very easy practice, but very effective to calm us down. So let's do that. You don't need to follow me. Do it at your own pace. And relax. So before we move to this dialogue, let's take 5 minutes break. So now we move to self-dialogue. So self-dialogue is when we talk to ourselves in a positive, constructive manner. I already talked about it extensively in the past. But I will still say a couple of words again about it, so that each session is kind of self-contained. So self-dialogue is when we talk to ourselves in a compassionate manner. There are many ways of talking of the conversation that can go along. Some of the ways are prayers, either pre-made or self-made. Like we say prayer in the beginning of the practice, that is kind of pre-made. That is fine. Self-made is wonderful too, when one just makes up a prayer every time one wishes to pray. It's not necessarily praying to an entity. It's more like a good wish kind of prayer. Good wish to all living beings, not only to humanity. And another way is the gratitude session that we do every morning. The next one is affirmations that one can focus upon during the dialogue and trying to ponder upon them. Another wonderful practice is the loving kindness metta meditation of the Buddhists, where one prays for the well-being of all living beings, and then for all the beings that are close to us, like family members, friends, workers, co-workers. And then to those that are neutral, so that we do not know well, people we meet in the street, in the bus station, then we wish them well, even though we don't know anything about them, or not much. And finally, to those that are difficult to us, in one way or another, then we also pray for their welfare as well. The idea is to expand our consciousness to all beings, not only to those that are close to us, but to all beings. And yeah, it's a wonderful practice. And in this practice, one should include all living beings, not just humans. Often it's, I believe, limited to humans, kind of, mostly. But there should be at least one section, one could say, of this meditation. It should be devoted to the welfare of all living beings, universally. So yeah, so that is metta meditation. Then the contemplation on higher truths, like who am I? That is a wonderful question. And then there is the self-counseling. One focuses on kind of what one wishes to really wants in life. Kind of what is one's purpose. We all have a purpose. We all have wishes, desires, hopefully good ones. I mean, of course, this is only for positive ones. We wish well to everybody, to all beings, and maybe that is our purpose, to make everybody happy, including ourselves and all living beings, not limited to humans. Just basically pondering about what we wish, trying to go to the root of what we really want. Can be also taking care of our family well, of ourselves also is important. Maybe going to the gym, practicing some yoga asanas, becoming good in a hobby or pastime. Yeah, so many things. Or it can be also more spiritual, meditation, trying to know who we are. It's very important. So yeah, so this is self-counseling, and then we have friendship with mind, where we try to be a friend to the mind, a friend to our own mind. Because our mind can be either our best friend or our worst enemy. It's basically up to us how we treat our mind, our own mind. It's the way that we talk with our mind that is very important. That's why we want to talk very gently, very kindly, very lovingly. We want to make our mind our friends, our co-worker in this world. Because our mind can be a wonderful instrument, but it needs to be used well. And one needs to understand its properties, so to speak, how it works, how habits work. Our mind is very much habit oriented. So whatever we do repeatedly, even just maybe 2 or 3 times, kind of become a habit. And if you do it even more times, then become a very strong habit. And in a way, it's not really our mind's fault. We went that way and we continued, and then our mind picked it up and became like maybe our mind thinks that's what we want. So if we want to good things, then it will get good habits. If bad things, then bad habits. But the good thing is that we can all change those habits. Habits are just that, habits, but they can, I will not say easily, but they can certainly be changed. It is said that if we want to change our future, we need to change our habits, because our habits can change our future. So habits are very important. So that's in those kind of discussion, we can talk with the mind, what we really want, what habits we want to acquire or remove, and be very gentle with ourselves, very kind. Yeah, so that's it. So self-dialogue is choosing one or something else that we did not say, not talk about, one or more discussion, and one just talks and listens. So we'll do it now for 9 minutes. So 9 minutes of self-dialogue, and you choose the subject. So let's start now. I will ring the bell in the beginning and at the end also. Okay, relax a little bit, and let's now go to the meditation part, where we actually try to just watch the breath and not interact with them. We'll do breath awareness meditations, where we notice the breath sensations in the nostrils, or the cold and hot air coming in and out, or sensation of the breath on the lips, or even the belly coming in and out. Try to find one that you most resonate with, that is easiest for you. And just let the thought, let the breath come and go naturally. So no control here at all, as if we are watching someone breathing from a distance. And we can also think in when we inhale, out when we exhale, to help the mind, calm the mind. You can count the breath, like from 1 to 5, then back to 1 for each inhalation, exhalation. When we have thoughts that we cannot really control anymore, then we can try to categorize them and maybe thinking, the word thinking. And that way we acknowledge that we have thoughts, and then we can come back more easily to our object of concentration. So we will do now 3 times 9 minutes. Try to be as stable and comfortable as possible. So let's start now. So relax a bit, maybe stretch your legs, your feet. And prepare for the next 9 minutes now. Let's start. And now prepare for the last meditation of the morning. Again, 9 minutes. So 9 minutes could be like the sweet spot. Not too long, not too short. Just what maybe many people um, can benefit from. But of course, it's individual. So, last 9 minutes. Give it all you've got. So this concludes our session for this morning. So to recap, what we saw in the presentation today was a couple more misconceptions or myths about the vegan lifestyle. Some questions, like frequently asked questions that are very interesting. So I hope it was useful, and I wish you a wonderful, 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 wonderful day. Let's end with the mantra: Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. May all the beings in all the worlds be happy and free, and may our thoughts, words, and deeds contribute in some way to that happiness and freedom for all. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om peace to all of nature, peace to all living beings, to all the animal people, to all the humans, and finally peace to our own self, to our own mind. Om. So thank you, and be happy, and see you soon, I hope, and bye bye.